What are the biggest storylines and matchups to watch between the Eagles and the Cowboys? Who will be player of the game? What should we expect from Jalen Hurts tonight? This is Eagles Postgame Live. Dallas Week is here. Dallas Week is here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Postgame Live. Today we are breaking down our top matchups to watch, and everything you need to know is going down right here between the Eagles and the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Joining me, my man Shane from Bleeding Green Nation from Chop Talk. What's going on, dude?
What's up? I've been sitting around all day getting more and more antsy for this game. I say that I like the primetime games, but then when they come, there's just so much time for that nervous energy to build up. I'm ready for kickoff.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a long night, but it is here. We are just a little under an hour from kickoff. Also in the house, my man Big Al from Edge of Philly Sports. What's going on, dude?
Dude, I don't know. As a Philly sports fan, it's been a lot to take in this week, but I can't wait. The Eagles Dallas man's always top of my list, so let's get to it.
Let's jump right in, guys. Of course, if you're watching us live, be sure to comment. Let us know your vibes right now. How do you feel about the Eagles and Cowboys here in Week 6? Let's jump right in to just a little backtrack. What is our favorite memory between the Eagles and Cowboys? I'll lead us off, Big Al.
I always go back to the 2008 end of the season. 2008 was a big year. The Phillies win the World Series. But before any of that happened, after that happened, you think about the Eagles, who were almost out of the playoffs. Dallas Eagles, we walloped them 44-6. And that was not supposed to happen. That was not supposed to happen. They got walloped, and then they make that great run. Unfortunately, ends in an NFC East title game that didn't bring us to a Super Bowl, but still one of the coolest Dallas Eagles moments.
Yeah, it is by far the best. My number one. We have Shane jumping in and out of the show.
Playing hide and seek.
I'm going to go. That is definitely my number one, but my number two, because I was expecting that one to go pretty fast. The 2000 pickle juice game, when pickle juice became a household item. I don't know if you remember that, Big Al, but
I do.
That was just an epic day when temperatures were 105 degrees. You had Andy Reid. You had Deuce Staley going for over 200 yards. At one point, they took out Troy Aikman, and in came Randall Cunningham. Jeremiah Trotter had a pick six. They just whooped them. It was like 41-3 or 41-6. Like, it was just an absolute beatdown. McNabb had a great game. I think Brian Dawkins had a couple strip fumbles. The 2000 pickle juice game, I was in my peak in high school. I remember watching that with my family. It was awesome. That was really epic game.
The other week when they were playing in the rain with the Jags, I used that as the Eagles always tend to do well in inclement weather. You had the snowball. You had the pickle. I used the pickle juice game as an option. Now look at the monsoon game. Now we can call it, except for the fog bowl. It's the only inclement weather one I can think of where the Eagles lost in the long run.
Yeah, it was actually the season opener, and they started off with an onside kick to start the season, and that was the first of three straight 5-11 seasons from the Dallas Cowboys. Man, just awesome stuff.
Which makes it even
better.
What about you,
right? Shane, what is your favorite Eagles versus Cowboys memory?
I'm gonna go more recent. I go back to 2017. The Eagles were 8-1. They had just beat Denver and go into the bye, and you come off the bye and you face Dallas. And we knew the Eagles were good at 8-1, but clearing that division rival hurdle is always a big deal. And I just remember watching that game that the Eagles were down at halftime like 9-7, and then they scored 30 unanswered points in the second half. Intercepted Dak 3 times. They sacked him 4 times. Honestly, it wasn't the best game from the offense, but just seeing them come alive in the second half, like that was when I knew that. I mean, I was pretty sure the team was poised to make a run, but that was when I knew for sure.
Love it. Shane, you're frozen on my end. Is he frozen on your end now?
Yeah, I just thought he was
Okay.
speechless at first, but then I hear the voice. The voice of Shane.
Nothing's frozen on my end. I don't know why it's doing that.
All right, that's cool.
At least it's a good view. It doesn't have your face stuck in a weird position, so you're okay.
Okay.
Matty B chimes in, 1980 NFC Championship game. Come on, children. Hands down the best. I was not born then, so my bad, Matty B.
Yeah, me too. I kind of fall into that category.
We have Anthony in the house saying, hey, guys. What's going on, Anthony? Let us know what your vibes are about this Eagles-Cowboys matchup. But let's jump right in here. Eagles offense versus the Cowboys defense. Break it down, Shane. What is your top matchup to watch here?
It's got to be the pass rush of the Cowboys against the Eagles' offensive line. You know, DeMarcus Lawrence had his statement about when he was getting asked about Jalen Hurts, and he said, well, he hasn't played the Cowboys yet. We don't know how good he is. And a lot of people took offense to that. Maybe he was trying to get a dig in there. You can interpret that for yourself, but the bottom line is the Cowboys' pass rush has teed off this season, and they've done it against horrible offensive lines. So their pass rush is good. How good is it? This is the best offensive line that they will face this year, and this game will be won in the trenches in that matchup. The Eagles' offensive line, if they can keep Jalen Hurts clean, the Eagles should roll through this game. And if they're not able to do that, this game gets dicey really quick. So that's the biggest matchup for me to watch, Eagles O against Cowboys D.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback right off of that. You look at this Cowboys defense, they're first in the NFL with 104 pressures. They rank first in hits. They rank first in hurries. They're second in sacks. Parsons leads the league with 27 pressures and 16 hurries. And they're only 23rd in the league in blitz rate. So this team is just very, very good with just using for and getting to the quarterback. But like my man Shane said, and I was going to bring that up, is the Dallas's previous opponents, the Rams, the Giants, the Bengals, and the Buccaneers, and the Commanders, all of them ranked 24th or worse when it comes to pass block win rate. So like Shane said, this is the best offensive line Dallas has gone up against tonight. I'll throw it to you, Big Al. What is the top matchup to watch here from the Cowboys offense to the Eagles defense?
Well, I'll kind of go along with what you guys are saying. I think it's a very simple one to say. Yeah, that line, the pressure. You know, I was saying the tackles, especially, can they keep Parsons and anybody on the outside keeping the pressure? Because if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm looking to make Jalen Hurts today a pocket passer. So piggybacking off of that idea, I'm going to go with my second matchup. Then would be that secondary Dallas, looking at Diggs. Can he handle A.J. Brown? Can he handle Smith? Because, like you said, they have gone up against guys like Cooper Kupp and all that stuff, but they're having every team they beat are either not a good team or a team with some sort of identity crisis. The Bengals, and I'm looking at the Rams, two teams who on paper coming into this year look really good, should have been really good, but have struggled. I mean, even today, the Rams, I think, were struggling against the Panthers, and if that gives you any idea of where that team is right now. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with since you guys took the line and the pressure, I'm going to say if you're turning him into a pocket passer, I got to see how they go up against that secondary, especially with Diggs out there. I mean, because you know he's going to go for those. He goes for those turnovers. He's a home run swinger. So let's see if he can play a little mistake-free football.
Yeah, that's where I went as well. I went with the secondary. That was my secondary matchup to watch. Most notably, I'm looking at Devontae Smith versus Anthony Brown. You look at, A.J. Brown versus Trevon Diggs. They're terrific. But Anthony Brown is really good, man. He's only allowed 28 receptions on 48 targets. That's the second best for any cornerback in the league. Anthony Brown is really legit. And I want to see the Eagles offense do pretty much the exact opposite of what we saw last week. Heading into before last week, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith had 8 catches of 20 yards or more. They were getting downfield, intended air yards wise. Jalen Hurts was among the best of the best in the league. I want to see them get back to that attack. And if there was an area to expose on this Dallas defense, it's on the outside with your star wide receivers, like you said, Al, like These guys are going to take risks. I want to see the Philadelphia Eagles offense take advantage of those risks and use what was successful prior to last week. Because there are way too many quick passes, way too much of the screen game in that game plan. So for me, I'm looking at Devontae Smith versus Anthony Brown. Any others before we get into the other side?
I would going along that. I mean, look at AJ Brown is the 5th-ranked NFL wide receiver right now with 436 yards in this current year. Now, that's the other thing kind of going on with you said. Now, Devontae Smith coming off a big game with career-high 10 receptions. He's going to be feeling it. And listen, there's a lot of these young guys or new guys who have not had this Eagles-Dallas primetime game yet. So just kind of like we were talking about, like I said, with the Phillies and stuff, everything's amped. Everything's timed up times 12 right now. So it could lead to a lot of mistakes in that secondary if they're going to go for it. If they play solid, smart offense, they can keep that defense, on their heels and keep Diggs as almost a non-factor.
Yep.
They need to. The Eagles need to run a lot of 12 personnel in this game. The Cowboys hate to play base defense. They sit in big nickel sets for almost the entire game. The Eagles need to get in 12 personnel, and they need to pound the ball if the Cowboys choose to stay in nickel. That's how I would approach this game from the Eagles' offensive perspective. And then just pick your matchups outside. Dallas loves to play single high. That's part of going light in terms of personnel. They go heavier boxes with single high. And so you need to pick your matchup you like, whether it be against Brown, whether it be against Diggs, and work those matchups outside the numbers. Make the Cowboys get out of those fronts they like to play.
Could not agree more. Anthony says Jalen Hurts needs to make better decisions against Dallas instead of being hesitant. He's going to get pressure today, man. He's going to get pressure, and his stats go down. We'll see if he can rise up to the occasion here. We're all going to be watching that. Michael chimes in, says, the best Eagles versus Cowboys game was 1989, the Thanksgiving Day Bounty Bowl. That was my dad's response when I messaged him earlier this morning. The Bounty Bowl, Buddy Ryan. My guy who's a Giants fan chimes in. I was waiting for this one. How about the New York Football Giants at 5-1? We'll see what happens when they have to match up against the Eagles. We'll see what happens. The Cowboys haven't faced a defense like the Eagles. The Eagles are number 1 in takeaways and number 4 in sacks. I think that's the biggest take here is that, we're kind of gushing so much about this Cowboys pass rush. The Eagles pass rush is right there, if not better. What is your take, Shane? Who has the better pass rush, the Cowboys or the Eagles?
First of all, that's not true. The Cowboys have faced a defense like the Eagles. They scored 3 points against the Buccaneers in Week 1. The Buccaneers have a really good defense. So they have played one good defense. It didn't go well. In terms of pass rush, I'm giving the edge to the Cowboys. Their duo of Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, I would take over Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, but it's close. I think the Eagles have more depth in terms of, you've got Brandon Graham, what they're able to do out of their penny fronts with Jordan Davis as a nose tackle, which gets advantageous matchups for Fletcher Cox. The Cowboys don't really have that, but make no mistake, the Cowboys have a really good pass rush. Oso Odigizua is really good on the interior. DeMarcus Lawrence, they've got some good pass rushers, and so I would say those are probably 2 of the top 3 or 4 pass rushes in the league are playing in this game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing you got to think about too is everybody, like you said, everybody's gushing over Dallas's defense, but Eagles have, we could say, almost equally the same, almost as good as a defense. In some ways better, in some ways not, but very close. But at the same time, if you compare the offense, it's 2 different stories. So I mean, in my eyes, more of a balanced team coming here. I think the one thing is Dallas is playing with a little bit more house money because they didn't think they're going to be here at 5-1. Or a possibility, I'm sure to say 4-1, a possibility of being 5-1. Once Dak went down, none of us did. We thought this changed the whole landscape. Between them and the Giants now, landscape changed again.
Yep. I put this poll out 6 hours ago, and 79% think the Eagles have the better pass rush than the Cowboys. I think that's a little biased. I do think probably the Cowboys are better on the edges. I think the Eagles are better on the interior. That's just me. But let's roll on to some comments. Keep them coming, guys. Love the comments. Rudy Boo, what's going on, Rudy Boo? Says need to not just be a win. We need to embarrass the Cowboys to make me satisfied. I'll just take the W, man. I'll just take the W any way I can get it. Absolutely. Anthony says I can't wait to see how the Cowboys O-line holds up against the Eagles D-line, and Gannon better blitz tonight. If he doesn't, he should be fired. I want to hear your response to this one, Shane.
The Eagles absolutely should not blitz tonight. If you go and look at the stats, I'm trying to scroll through and find it now. You'll have to give me a second, but
yeah,
the Cowboys are better against the blitz than they are against just regular drop 7, drop 8 into cover. Here it is. Cooper Rush is better against the blitz. His completion percentage goes up 16.2%. He gets 2.1 more yards per attempt, and his QB rating is up 35 points when he's blitzed. And that's because he gets the ball out so quickly by design. He's getting the ball out in 2.2 seconds. The blitz doesn't have time to get home. The Eagles need to rush 4 or 3, and they need to drop those extra guys into underneath zones and take away those quick reads. The thing to do against Rush is not to blitz him. It's to muddy those quick throw looks that he wants to get to, make him second guess his reads. That's the way that you beat this Cowboys offense. It's not blitzing a lot.
Yep, absolutely. Michael is in the house. Keep them coming, man. Thanks for the comments. The Eagles O-line will handle the Dallas D-line.
Well, that's actually one thing to think about. That was Lane Johnson versus DeMarcus Lawrence has usually been a Lane Johnson victory, so that'll be interesting to see. I'm wondering if they're going to take and Shane, if you're the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, do you look all the way back to Week 1 and see how the Detroit Lions kind of kept them off balance by double stacking outside and bringing extra pressure? So who does Lane pick? You know, they were able to get past it sooner or later, but a better defense could make that a little bit more difficult. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, the book is kind of out on the Eagles with simulated pressures and actually bringing the pressures. That's been the way to confound the Eagles so far. A lot of that goes down to them not having a back who's good in pass protection. On the flip side, the Cowboys don't really like to blitz because they've been getting pressure with 4. So, if I'm the Cowboys, I would start off and just see if I can simulate some pressures and get home without actually blitzing, because it's not their MO, but I wouldn't be afraid to call blitzes if nothing else was working and I'm Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael says, just remember Jalen is mobile and Cooper is not mobile like Jalen. We've got Rob in the house. What's up? Michael,
Rob.
Eagles 33, Cowboys 14. Holy cow. Love it, man. Love the optimism. Positive vibes only. Rudy Boo says need to humble the Cowboys fans. Way too cocky. And Rob thinks Eagles win 24-21. We will get into our predictions in just a little bit. For the sake of time, let's roll on to the other end. The Cowboys offense versus the Eagles defense. This is a Cowboys offense that loves to run heavy personnel. They ran 11 personnel 57% of the time. They ran 12 personnel 28% of the time. This is a team that will line up under center. This is a team that intends to beat you down with the run. You're going to see a lot of pre-snap movement. That's something the Eagles have historically struggled with, I think, over the last couple of years. This is a team that will want to beat you with the short game. Cooper Rush is 29th in the league in intended air yards. So he's not going to beat you deep, although they can. And he's also really accurate. He has a 73% on target percentage. He's very accurate with the football. He's very good at limiting turnovers. The Cowboys offense is best in the NFL at just 0.4 turnovers per game. So it's not a team it's not an offense that's going to put up crazy stats, but they can't be dismissed either. This is not an offense the Eagles can take lightly. Let's start off with you, Big Al. Like, what's your vibe on the Cowboys offense versus the Eagles defense, and what's your top matchup to watch?
Well, I mean, it depends on what Dallas decides. Does Pollard become a little bit of the bell cow in this situation? I mean, the numbers are kind of swaying you that way. Pollard has had much better numbers this year so far, way better actually, but compared to Zeke's numbers. So I agree with you. They're going to probably run heavy, and if he has to pass, can their wide receivers match up with our secondary? And I'm going to have to say no. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, yes, maybe, but Gallup, I'm not really afraid of in any which way, and I think Bradbury and Slay and all those guys out there can handle that passing attack right now.
Yeah, what about you, Shane?
Yeah, I think Dallas basically does two things in their passing game. They go heavy personnel, play action, and try to push the ball downfield, and then they empty out the backfield. Or they sometimes they'll just go shotgun with a running back, but they run a lot of bunch compressed sets, and they try to rub routes off to get those quick throws to the flats. So the Eagles, the first thing they need to do is they've got to be able to have success on early downs against the run. When you're in 2nd and 10, when you're in 3rd and 8, play action passing just doesn't really work because the run's not really a threat. So a lot of these penny fronts, the 5 guys across, Jordan Davis is the nose tackle on early downs, get them behind the sticks, and then the offense is going to struggle. I talked about blitzing. You don't want to do that, but I do think you want to spin coverages, bail guys out, bail guys off the line to muddy those quick underneath throws that Rush wants to take.
Love it, love it, love it. Quinn Moore thinks the Cowboys beat the Eagles 17-13. I don't blame you, brother. I don't blame you at all.
I find that hard to believe. I just don't think that. The Cowboys have the defense to do it, but to be the first team to hold us to that few points right now. I know last week the Cardinals game wasn't pretty, but that wasn't a good. They didn't play a good game, and they still were able to keep their head above water. So I really think it would be hard for the Cowboys to keep us below 20 points.
Love it. Cooper Rush threw for 102 yards against the Rams. The Rams do not have the defensive backs. The Eagles have Anthony chimes in. I think Cooper Rush will have a good game because if Cooper has time, he will pick apart the Eagles' defense. That's one thing, right, Shane? Like Jonathan Gannon cannot be playing his defensive backs 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. Absolutely not. Like you said, like Anthony said here, that's playing into the strengths of the Dallas Cowboys offense. Mr. Rudy Poo says, you stop the run, you destroy Cooper Rush. That is my matchup to watch here. It is Zeke and Tony Pollard versus TJ Edwards. That's what I'm looking at in this one. Dallas averages the 10th most attempts on the ground in the league, 4.2 yards per attempt, 22nd most. They're 19th in rushing touchdowns, and they have they're 13th in the league in 20 yards or more with 11. So they're good. This is a rushing attack that can get chunks of yards when they need it. The bad news is TJ Edwards, I think, had probably his worst game of the season last week. The good news is the Eagles have only allowed 3.9 yards per carry against 12 personnel this season, and that is exactly what we're going to see a heavy dose of with the Dallas Cowboys. So that's going to be really fun to watch, and I'm excited to see Hassan Reddick in this one. We don't talk enough about Hassan Reddick. You're 22 plus minutes into the show. Hassan Reddick has been absolutely terrific in this one. In the last few games, the Eagles ranked 6th in pass rush win rate when on defense, and the Dallas offensive line ranks last in pass block win rate on offense. So, as much as this could be a Parsons game, this could be even more so a Hassan Reddick game, and I'm excited to see Hassan Reddick just bring the noise in Philadelphia tonight with that crowd. It's going to be awesome. Let's roll on to our next question. Who is the X factor? Most underrated player here for the game. I kind of want to go first because I don't want someone to take mine, and because I know Shane probably on the same wavelength. But my underrated player to watch is Jordan Davis for this game. I think Jordan Davis has gotten better and better and better with more and more snaps. The Cowboys do not care if you stack that box. They will want to run the ball no matter what. And what does that mean? That means the Cowboys are going to run, and run. So give me more Jordan Davis tonight. You look at the last several weeks, he's been getting to the quarterback. He's been stopping the run. I think all signs point to Jordan Davis playing the most snaps he's ever played in an NFL game tonight. And I think a lot is on his shoulders. And I think we could all be talking about Jordan Davis by the end of this game. Lead us off, Shane. Who is your underrated player of the game?
Yeah, I would go Jordan Davis if you didn't steal him, but I'll go TJ Edwards. You mentioned TJ Edwards had probably the worst game that we've seen him play last week. Notably, the Cardinals spread them out and picked on him in coverage. Cooper Rush is not going to pick on TJ Edwards in coverage. I think Edwards is going to have a really good game coming downhill in the run game. It's one of his strengths. So TJ Edwards, he is one of the keys to the Eagles defense, putting the Cowboys behind the sticks tonight.
Always copying my answers. I already said what about you, Big Al?
I'm going to say Jordan, but not Davis. I'm going to go with Mailata in this one.
Right.
And because here's the thing is, he's coming off injury. He hasn't been 100%. I know Andre Dillard just got off the IR or IL or whatever the heck they call it now. But right now, that's who I think they're going to pick on. I think you're going to see Mika on that side a lot. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure. They're going to try to take away his blind side, and they're going to try to take away his legs and force everything to the other side. So I think it's going to be Jordan Mailata as my X factor for the game. And I always like linemen. I have that part and partial.
I'm right there with you on that one, bro. Yeah, if Jordan Mailata wasn't playing this game, I would be pacing. I would be pacing around my house for like 3 straight hours because of that. But he will be playing, at least from the last thing I heard, been practicing. Mr. Rudy Poo says, I want us to run straight at D-Law. Dude talks too much. Michael says Gardner Johnson is his underrated player of the game. I mean, could we see another interception? I mean, you look at defensive takeaways. This game could be decided. We'll get into predictions very soon, but like this game could very well be decided by who makes the first mistake. Let's see.
Whoever makes Cooper rush, and not to make the joke, but it's true. Whoever makes him rush his throw,
yeah,
and that's what's going to happen. They're going to collapse that pocket. That's going to be the game plan. They're going to collapse the pocket. I agree with you guys. I think the blitz is not going to be as much as everybody thinks it should be. It's just easy to say blitz, blitz, blitz. There's so many different formations of a blitz, and I think in this case they're going to bring the pressure. Their tight end Schultz is out. I know he's out too tonight. So maybe they bring up and stack the line again with a couple of the linebackers to bring that pressure in the middle. But if Jordan Davis is going to get as much time, may not be needed.
Yeah, I fully agree. Quentin's in the house. He says Eagles cornerbacks ability to play press man. 100% agree. Rudy Poo agrees. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will have a great game. Cowboys content creators are saying they should get him. Need a pick or two. Interesting. Shane, what's your take on Gardner Johnson? It's kind of been up and down this season, right?
If he plays at the level that he's played through the first 5 weeks, I highly doubt the Eagles will re-sign him because the move to safety has not been that great. He got the interception last week, but he's been a poor tackler. He hasn't really been great in coverage, and everything changes when you're playing from safety instead of out of the slot. He's a really good slot. The Eagles already have a really good slot that they signed long-term in Avonte Maddox. So you hope that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will continue to progress as a safety throughout the season goes, but he has been easily outplayed by Marcus Epps this year, in my opinion.
Wow. Love it. Devereaux Sports, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Brody says Devontae Smith will be the underrated player. He was my top matchup to watch for the Eagles offense. I think him versus Anthony Brown will be the matchup to watch when you kind of take away everything from the Eagles offense to the Dallas defense. I've just been wanting Smith to have another breakout game. I just want to see them move the ball downfield a little more. You can't see Jalen Hurts averaging like 5 yards per reception. Get Jalen Hurts in this offense going forward, beyond the sticks. That's what I want to see. Let's jump into our player of the game and score predictions. Go ahead, Big Al. What's your vibe right now?
I mean, I could take the simple way out and say, of course, Jalen Hurts, but not just Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts playing that mistake-free football I talked about earlier, not throwing it into double coverage like he's done a couple of times because he's gotten lucky for not. He could have a couple more picks than he has already, but I don't think you're going to get away with that kind of mistakes against this Dallas defense. So, not just Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts making good, sound football decisions and quick.
And if we see that, like that throw we had last week, the Dallas got it under pressure when he got that first down. If we see more of that against the Dallas Cowboys, I think we're going to be sitting pretty comfortably in this game. What about you, Shane?
I'm going to go A.J. Brown. He's going to be the player of the game. He had a little bit of a quieter week last week. I do think the Eagles will like the matchup A.J. Brown on Trevon Diggs, assuming that's how the Cowboys decide to match up. I think they're going to like Brown in that. He's real strong at the catch point. I think you can put the ball up there for him, and I think he's going to be able to shake Trevon Diggs on some of his routes. So I'll give it to A.J. Brown. I think he's got a big game. And I feel better about this game now that I know that the Eagles' offensive line is all playing. Limited degrees of health, I'm sure, and that's still an X factor in this game. But I will take the Eagles 24-13.
Wow, that went up. That went up.
You went 24. Okay. All right.
Cool.
Now, do you guys feel a little better with Andre Dillard back? So if they do limit,
Yes.
because Jack Driscoll's played really well, but this might be a whole different ball game if it's him in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that if something happens to Jordan Mailata, it won't be Jack Driscoll coming in.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. We have Pick Swap Media. Nick, what's going on? Sean's at the game. Our guy from Pick Swap Media. Go check them out. He helps us out with our Sixers post-game shows. He's got lower level tickets to this one, so he's down there with his dad, just having a blast, man. I'm so jealous for Sean. What a game!
I couldn't make it with my seats this weekend. 2 Phillies games in one weekend kind of put me in the no-go to the Eagles game, but I'm going to enjoy it one way or the other.
Yeah, what a week, man. The Eagles have some big shoes to fill from the Phillies over the last 2 days. Anthony says Eagles 28-31. So Eagles losing 28-31 is kind of what I saw from that.
Yeah.
I'm going to cheat a little bit, as I always do, Shane. We kind of touched on it, but my Eagles player of the game will be Jeff Stoutland. When I look at this matchup, I see this game as being your typical NFC East slugfest. That's going to be low scoring. I see this game as going to be one that's won in the trenches. And I think this is just a great opportunity for the Eagles offensive line to kind of cement themselves as the true number one offensive line in the NFL. And then when you compare these two teams, like offense and defense and stuff, I look at that I look at the defensive line. There's some like advantages for the Cowboys. There's some advantages for the Eagles. But on the offensive line, I don't see any area where the Cowboys are better than the Eagles' offensive line, from guard to tackle to center. Like, they're better than them across the board. So I think Jeff Stoutland and his offensive line, especially if we get what we saw in that fourth quarter of last week when the Eagles just decimated their opponent in that fourth quarter. It was like just a massive time of possession. That's what I want to see. That's what I think is going to go down. So I'm going to go Eagles get the W here. I'm sticking to my initial prediction. Even with Jordan Mailata on the field, I'm going to say 17-14. Eagles get the W, and it's going to be a great game, great defensive battle. And most likely whoever makes that mistake will probably get the L here, whether that's Cooper Rush with a hand in his face, throwing an interception, or get strip sacked, or Jalen Hurts probably throwing deep and Trevon Diggs gets that interception. We'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun. But let's get into our final thoughts and plugs. I'll throw it to you, Shane. Go ahead, man.
We got a commenter here on YouTube chiming in that says Jeff Stoutland is a coach, not a player, and thus ineligible to win player of the game. And I don't know who that good-looking guy is that said that, but I fully agree with him. So my final thought is that Dibes cheats at every show we've ever done, and it's fine. But my final thoughts are, I feel better about this game than I did. The Eagles' offensive line being healthy. I think if they play turnover-free football, it's vital that you don't give the Cowboys' offense short fields. If the Eagles lose this game, we have to have a serious conversation about Jonathan Gannon, because this defense should not allow 13, 14 more points against this Dallas offense. And I fully expect the Eagles offense to put up numbers. So I don't see how the Cowboys are able to keep pace with Cooper Rush. I think the Eagles win this one unless something crazy happens with the turnovers, and the Eagles have generally been good in those areas.
All right. What about you? Or do you have anything to plug, Shane?
Oh, yeah, I always forget that part. Give me a follow on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. I'll be tweeting out. I live tweet every game. I'll be tweeting out clips of big plays, thoughts as the game goes along. Directly after the game, I'll be on the BGN Instant Reactions show. Should have a new podcast starting midweek this week that'll drop on the BGN feed. We'll also have Chalk Talk coming to you, reviewing whatever week this is, week 6. I can't keep track anymore. Week 6 will be coming out sometime in the midweek as well. So give me a follow on Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. You can find that all on my Twitter profile.
Love it, love it, love it, man. No one does it better covering the Eagles than Shane. If you're not following Shane, you're doing it wrong. Pixar Media says Embiid is at the link tonight. That place is going to be rocking. That place is going to be rocking. Quentin Moore says player of the game will be Jeff Stout. There it is. Love it, love it, love it.
Hold on. Wait, let's go to the comments. There we go.
All right. Let's roll on to Big Al. Plugs, final thought.
Well, like I said, I'm going to go with him. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, 24-14. I think the Eagles win this one. I agree with you. I don't think that Cooper Rush is going to be able to handle this Eagles defense. Even if somehow the Dallas defense keeps us in check, that's going to be a big problem for them. So ultimately, I'm going to go with the 24-14 with the Eagles win. Could be even more. I don't know if it's just this 5-0 thing. I'm like overly confident anymore. And usually by now I started becoming very cynical, but I'm not. But that's where I'm going to go with my final thoughts. I think they handle it. I think the fact that they didn't have a great game against Arizona was a good 5-0 for us, because I think they're very, like Jalen Hurts says himself, he's got to do a better job a lot of times, and I think that whole team goes into that locker room not happy with the win, but not happy with how the win went down. And I think that's good timing for him to go up, not coming out, whooping his team, thinking they're better than everybody, and then coming into Dallas on Sunday night in Philadelphia and just laying a giant egg. So I think all that stuff kind of plays up. And don't forget, with the Giants winning today, if we lose, we're all going to be in top, 5-1 in the division, and we'll be in third place just because we'll have the worst record against the division at this point. So I think that puts a little pressure on them. And I love the fact that Embiid's there tonight, because if you've noticed that every Phillies and Eagles game so far, there's been player representatives from different teams, except for the Flyers. I feel like they're leaving themselves out in this, but that's a whole different story. But and of course you can find me on EOP Sports. You go to eopsports.com. My live show is Wednesdays. This Wednesday's gonna be a little later. It'll be after the post game show for the Phillies game, so probably around 9:15, 9:30, with my co-host and co-creator of EOP, Joey Sheeran.
Love it, love it, love it. Go check out Edge of Philly Sports wherever you get your content, on the website, Facebook, you name it. They're all out to do amazing stuff. Anthony chimes in, says Jason Peters will be player of the game because he will get bullied and fake a hamstring injury. All right. And Pixar Media says, go Birds, guys. Go Birds, go Birds. My final thought is this. And Shane, you know that nobody loves the NFL draft more than us. Holy cow. We are looking at a top 5 pick here, with the Saints losing again, moving to 2-4. The Eagles could be sitting at a very fun 2022 season and get a top 5, top 10 pick. The two guys, obviously, that are off the top of my head is Will Anderson out of Alabama. If they are in any kind of territory to move up and get him, you absolutely do that deal. And then Keely Ringo out of Georgia, a 6'2" cornerback, super athletic, checks off all the boxes. Just keep the pipeline of Alabama and Georgia players coming to Philadelphia, please. So this has got me really excited. I can't believe that trade actually still happened. Every day I'm like just blown away at that move, because the Saints are just dogs.
Thank you, Mickey Loomis.
Yeah, I know. And here's my thing is like we have 3 or 4 of the Philly teams who actually have huge playoff and championship aspirations at this point, plus a top 5 pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to know how many of these Philly fans sold their soul, and this is just too much to handle. I'm not used to having all this riches in Philly sports.
Yeah, and like our top 2, they got the Eagles, and who knows what happens with the Sixers. The Sixers still have to get past the second round, but even the Phillies got Andrew Painter next year. And that's going to be fun. They could maybe get a Trey Turner. Who knows? And you got the Eagles with the top, at least 2 first-round picks. Who knows if Howie boots one to next year for Caleb Williams in that draft? I don't know. Well, that's a Howie move. We know he loves to do. But guys, thank you for watching. That wraps up our pregame show. We will be doing a halftime show right for like 10, 15 minutes. We will be doing a postgame show. I will not be on those. I think, Al, you'll be on one of those, right?
I'll be hosting the post-game show.
Love it, love it, love it. So, guys, keep locked down to Edge of Philly Sports, the Panel Lines, wherever you get your content here. If you're watching, please be sure to hit that like button. Help us get this content growing and out to new viewers. And thank you again for all the comments. The comments were terrific tonight. Go Birds. Go follow my man Shane on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. That is Big Al at Big Al EOP on Twitter. And thank you everyone for watching. See you at halftime. Go Birds!